everybody. Can you see and hear me? Let's see if we can get a bit better at this than last time. Please let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me. Hey Cheryl, is that a Peter? Yeah, great. Bruce, hey, you got my back, Bruce. Thank you, mate. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Cheryl, no, that was not a Peter Green tune. That it was similar though, wasn't it? It was Peter Green-esque for sure. That kind of laid-back bluesy vibe. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for letting me know that you can see and hear me. Where's everybody dialing in from today? I know Bruce is in Brooklyn. Philly Folk Fest. I guess you're in Philadelphia. Joe, where are you from, mate? Oh, Phoenix, Arizona, of course. Yeah. James, Derek, where are you from? Michael's here. Hey, great. Awesome. Great to see you all, everybody. Johnny's here from Birmingham. Cool. I was in Birmingham the other day. Love Birmingham. Really cool guitar city. There's loads of guitar stuff in Birmingham. Some great guitar shops. Stephen's here. Southern CT. What is CT? Let us know. Stephen, what's CT? I guess it's a state in America, but I can't think of what CT would be. Colorado or California? Let me know. Volume seems low. Okay, well, let me see if I can dial the volume up a little bit without getting some hiss. Thank you very much. Ed's here from Houston. Taggart's here from the Republic of North Yorkshire. Yes, a fellow Republican. I'm with you, Taggart. If you're from Liverpool, Liverpool's basically a republic. Gary's here from Manchester. Awesome. Gary, I was in Manchester yesterday. Johnny's here. Come for a cuppa next time. Thanks, Johnny. I will do. Bob, hey. Mike's here, Hamilton, Ontario. Yeah, come on, my Canadians. You guys are always following our work. Love my Canadians. Unfortunately, my most loved Canadian, Adam, can't be here today. So I'm flying solo, but Adam will be back for the next Musicmakers Livestream, which is great because he knows loads of stuff I don't. We complement one another quite well, I think, me and Adam, because our skills only overlap a little bit. So we can generally cover pretty much everything for you guys between us. Philly Folk Fest is Audrey. Hey, Audrey. Great to see you. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all of your comments. Great to see. Oh, no, Bruce. Bruce has got jury duty next week. Oh, that sucks, Bruce. I hope it doesn't go on too long. Cheryl, Connecticut. Thank you. Yeah, CT, Connecticut, of course. That makes sense. Yeah, thank you for helping me out, everybody. Johnny, you are not the only Republican in Birmingham. You just think you are. There's lots of Republicans out there, but they just had to keep quiet after the Queen died. It wasn't popular to be Republican at that time. Wayne says, can barely hear you. Can you make it louder? I can, right, that's as loud as I can go, Wayne. Please let me know if that's okay for you guys. The boom mic literally can't be any closer to me than it is. So we're at max volume now, but I just don't want that to create too much hiss for you guys. Sorry about this, everybody, but we're trying to figure out the audio and make it as good as it can be. Let me know if it's still too bad. Hopefully that's okay. Taggart says I've got some background hiss. Might be because I've just dimed the shotgun mic. Much better audio. Okay, cool. All right, we'll go with that. Yeah, all right, cool. Johnny, thank you. It's loud and clear now. Thank you, everybody. All right, cool. Listen, it's 6 minutes past. We got to get stuck in. Once we get to the 5-minute mark, I like to keep going. Wayne, thank you, mate. Thanks for letting me know the audio is okay now. In future, I'll just dial that shotgun mic way up before we begin. Awesome. So listen, everybody, got loads of stuff to get through today. Want to make sure we've got plenty of time for Q&A as well. But also we've got some other questions which have come in through the Slido link, which I sent out earlier today. The idea behind the Slido link is that just makes it possible for people to submit questions who won't be on the stream live, but they can still submit a question beforehand, and then they can catch up with the stream afterwards. So if you're ever in a position where you need, where you can't come to the live stream, but you've got something you want us to help you with, no worries. Just use the Slido link that we email out to everybody, submit your question that way, and then you can, you can watch the live stream whenever it works for you. In the timestamps that we send out for the live stream, you'll be able to pinpoint exactly where your questions were. So obviously, please show up live. That's the whole point. But if you ever can't show up live, then no problem. You can submit your question that way. I hope that makes sense. Right, before we begin, I just wanted to point out to everybody that right now our registration for our lead guitar course, Lead Master, you can actually still join today. So we had some issues with our checkout system, which I think we fixed. It's pretty much fixed from what I can see. But I just wanted to let everybody know that you can still join. If you want to, we open registration for Lead Master once a year. Let me grab the link and I'll drop it in the chat here, and then anybody who wants it can use it. We open registration for our lead guitar course, Lead Master, once a year. And right now it's actually technically closed yesterday, but you can still join because we had this issue with the checkout system. So we're going to let it run for an extra day to give people a chance to sign up. I will drop a link to it in the chat right now. Lead Master is a really fun course. If you're interested in lead guitar, I think this is the best lead guitar course in the world. I've tried loads of them. I think Lead Master is, here we go, I've just dropped it in the chat. So Lead Master, I think it is the best lead guitar course in the world for people who are new to lead guitar. So one of the problems with lead guitar is that it can be very dense and complicated, and it's hard to sort of find an entry point. And then you might learn some bits, but it's hard to see how everything fits together. I think Lead Master does a brilliant job of making that really clear to everybody. If you're interested in lead guitar, you will not find a better on-ramp into that part of the guitar world than Lead Master. I truly believe that. It's a brilliant course. I'm super proud of it. And it's lots and lots of fun. Lead guitar is so much fun. So the link is there in the chat. You can use that if you want to. Johnny said, do you need to have finished the chords course before joining the lead guitar course? No, Johnny, you absolutely don't. But as you know, chords is where I like people to begin. So super quick, for anyone who's new to this, the guitar world is kind of made up of, I always describe it as being made up of 4 quarters. That's how I like people to perceive the guitar world, because I think it makes it clear, you know, and people can kind of understand that. So super quick, let's see if we can do it like this. So if you think about it as, I always say, like, imagine that it's like a circle. It's kind of a wonky circle, but you get the idea. And then if you imagine the guitar world is divided like this into quarters, then number 1, where I like everybody to begin, is chords. Chords are the foundation of everything we do on the guitar. Number 2 is rhythm, aka strumming. Number 3 is lead. And number 4 is theory. And these are the 4 quarters of the guitar world. Now, if you get good in all of those 4 quarters, then you'll be a really, really well-rounded guitarist. And the reason I think it's useful to have that framework is because the guitar world can be quite overwhelming and you hear so many different things. It's really useful to have some type of organizing principle so you can understand how everything fits together. You get good in those 4 areas, you're a great guitarist. But here's the thing, every area affects every other area. So as you get better in one particular area, it actually enhances the other areas. And if there's areas that you neglect, then you end up a very lopsided guitarist, which is what happened to me for years. I never did any lead guitar. For years I avoided it. All right, so super quick. Chords we all know and love. Yeah, chord shapes. It's where most people begin. And I think it is the best place to begin. Yeah, there are chord shapes. 2 different types of chord shapes. We've got open chords, which all happen here. This is where beginners begin. E minor, G, D, C. Then at some point we make the transition to bar chords, and then the whole neck opens up to us and we can play shapes like this. Yeah, we're moving around the neck. Very cool. Chords are the foundation of your success as a guitarist, no doubt. The second part of that guitar world, as you may remember from my sort of hastily scribbled diagram there, is rhythm and strumming. That's where you bring your chords to life. Chords are static shapes. Mostly we hold them with our left hand and they just kind of stay there. The music comes here from your strumming hand. Lead guitar is when we move away from that stuff and it's more single line based stuff. Yeah, notes and melodies. Yeah, when we start moving into that kind of area, scales, that's what we call lead guitar. Doesn't mean you're the leader, doesn't mean you're the best guitarist. It's just a phrase, a wrapper that we put around certain guitar techniques that really, really enhance your guitar playing, because it means that you can do things like you can play some chords, for example, but then you can embellish that chord with some lead guitar. Yeah, you don't have to just play chords like E minor. Well, that's fine, but if you know that the E minor pentatonic scale is right there, then you can embellish that chord with some lines, you know? So I always play stuff like... That's not hard, that's something a beginner can play. But if you start adding some of those notes in with your chords, then all of a sudden your E minor chord, it isn't bland anymore. You're flavouring it, you're seasoning it with extra notes. Yeah, but when I was playing there with that E minor shape, was the top two notes of E minor. Yeah, just those. But I was just playing it with one finger, so these fingers were free to pull out other notes from the E minor scale. In that case, it was actually a type of blues scale. Scales are not complicated. People are scared of them, but they're super easy. You can learn beginner scales. So yeah, if you want to get interested in lead guitar, then like I say, check out the Lead Master course, because it's the perfect place to learn all this stuff in a way that isn't too overwhelming. And then the last part of what I laid out for you there was theory. The last quarter of the guitar world is music theory. And I don't think there's anything that enhances and empowers a musician more than music theory. Music theory is not something to be afraid of. I avoided it for years. I wish I hadn't. It helps explain how and why music works. It doesn't shackle you or restrict you. It massively empowers you. So yeah, so I hope that's useful for anybody who's maybe new to that concept or hasn't heard me talk about it before. Yeah, the 4 quarters of the guitar world: chords, rhythm, lead, and theory. And that's why we structured our courses, our core curriculum, to reflect that. So we have, chord master, rhythm master, lead master, and theory master. And that's our core curriculum of, that's how we make sure that our students are as well balanced as can be. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little whirlwind tour of like how we codify the guitar world. And I think it's useful for people to see it that way, because it makes you intentionally explore those other areas. And that's how you become well-rounded as a guitarist. Those people that you can see on telly that play something and then whittle away and play something else. I used to watch them and I used to be like, how do they know what to play? I used to play stuff and just hope it would work, Sometimes it did. Most of the time it didn't. It wasn't much fun. All right, let me get back to your comments, everybody. I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but I wanted to share that with you. Yeah, so by the way, just to answer Johnny's original question, do you need to finish the chords course before joining? No, Johnny, you don't. I think you can tackle all these things all at the same time and learn broadly. But certainly if you're just getting started with the guitar, if you're brand new, I would just focus on chords. But as long as you can play basic open chords, you're absolutely ready to get started with lead. But if you've just picked up a guitar for the very first time, just focus on chords. Everybody, thank you for all of your questions here. Lisa's here from Boston. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Andrew's here. Hey, I made it to a live. Here from Farmingdale, Maine. Woot woot. Andrew, yeah, I'd love to go to Maine one day. I've heard cool things about Maine. I'd like to go. That's right up in the top corner, isn't it, of the US? I'd love to go there one day. All right, let me get through some of your comments, everybody. Cheryl, you're always learning theory when you learn anything on guitar. Yeah, that's true. That is true. People absorb theory without necessarily realizing it. I agree. That's absolutely true. And Cheryl said, is that an emerald guitar? No, it's not emerald. It's actually black, but it's a carbon fiber guitar. It's got a really cool finish. Can you see that? I love the finish on this guitar, this like digital snakeskin finish. And I really like that the sound hole is here. You feel much closer to the music when you play. It really draws you in. Got a really nice big tone. Yeah, I really like this acoustic. It was sent to us by Enya, who are, I think, a Chinese company that specialize in sort of innovative guitar designs. They sent it to us to review it last year, and I gave it a review, which I thought was very fair. Some things about it I like, some things about it that I don't like. I explained all of them in the review, which is here on our YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about the guitar, check out that video. But it's grown on me over time. You know, I kind of gave it a good review, I think. It was a decent guitar, but it has grown on me over time. It just took some time to get used to the different materials that the guitars are made of. Every other guitar I've ever played is made of wood. So to play a carbon fiber guitar, you know, it's a change. It took some getting used to. Taggart says lead guitar is the picking of sweet individual notes from a recognized scale. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, I guess that is a simple way of looking at it. Certainly that's where people get started with lead. Just picking out those individual notes from a scale that matches the key of the song. Absolutely. Where the scales fit into the circle chords. Yeah, so scales would fit into here. What's happening here? There we go. Scales would fit into that section, lead. So lead guitar, the best place to begin with lead guitar is scales, because you need to just learn some basic scales, and then you can play any of the notes from that scale, and you know that they're going to sound good, as long as it matches the key of the song. Bruce says, use the major scale to see when major and minor fit into the picture. Yeah, the major scale is our reference point, Bruce, isn't it? That's where we look back to. We name everything in music based on its relationship to the major scale. The major scale is our reference point that we have in music. Everything kind of goes back to that. And if something differs from that, that's why we give that chord its name, or that scale its name. Cheryl said, I love Emerald guitars from Ireland. They're amazing. I haven't heard of them, Cheryl, but I will check them out. I like the name, and it's cool that they're from Ireland, isn't it, with the Emerald guitars. My dad's actually in Ireland at the moment, traveling around in his motorhome, sending me videos every day. He looks epic. He's like all over the place, Cork, Galway. Yes, so guitar maker model, it is the Enya Pro X4. I'm sorry, I'm rubbish with guitar names. Oh, sorry, with like model names when it's just letters, you know. Yeah, let me just check it for you. Like I've literally got the review here. Here we go. Enya X4 Pro. Yeah. So it is the Enya X4 Pro is the name of it. I will put it in the chat here for you. There is a link to the video, a review that I did of that guitar, where you can hear it being sort of played in different settings. And I explain a lot more about that guitar. So yeah, if you want to know more about the Enya X4 Pro, watch that video in the chat there. Okay, so yeah, cool. Cheryl said, yeah, you have to check out the Emerald guitars. They're all carbon fiber. That's why I thought that guitar was from. Yeah, cool. I will check them out, Cheryl. Thank you. I hadn't heard of them. But yeah, I wouldn't say like I'm converted to the idea of carbon fiber guitars, but I'm certainly not anti-carbon fiber. You know, I'm open to it now, having explored this one. It just feels a bit unyielding to me at times, but I really like the fact that its tuning stability is better. Like it goes out of tune less because it's not affected by temperature fluctuations and humidity the way wood is. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but it is a nice guitar to track with. You know, like if you're in the studio and you're trying to get something super clean, it's a really, really articulate, very precise guitar. Gary is trying to learn Black Magic Woman by Santana, but stuck after the D minor bar chord. Yeah, it's a great tune, Gary. I love that song. So moody. Such a great track. I did used to know how to play that. I can't remember it, Gary, so I'm sorry I can't give you any specific advice for that particular track. But yeah, great tune. Love that song. All right, so listen, everybody, I want to get to some of the questions that we had submitted on Slido. Is this Slido or Slido? I don't know. I'm going to say it's Slido. All right, so we've got a couple of questions here that I want to share with you. So number one, actually, before we do, I wanted to answer some of the questions that people submitted last time after the live stream. So apologies for not answering them last time around, but let's do it now. Let me bring it up here for you. I saved them earlier on today. Yes, so first of all, so this is a question that Tom from New Zealand. So basically what happened was Tom submitted this question last time around, but he used Slido to send it, and then the live stream had already ended. So I thought we can answer it now for Tom. It'll help some of the people who are still on the call. So yeah, so like this isn't a live question, this is from last time around, but that's what it is. So Tom, I like that he put his name, that he put his location there in the, that paints it's a more vivid picture, isn't it, when people say where they're from. Tom from New Zealand, and his question was, if a power chord is just a root and a fifth, and F5, yeah, that would be an example. Do we also have flat and sharp fives, or does that just make it a standard chord? So it's a great question, Tom. Thank you for sending us that. So basically, he's absolutely right. A power chord is just a root and a fifth. So an A power chord, if I find an A note, yeah, and then I add the fifth note on from the A major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the fifth note. If I play the 1 and the 5 together, all I'm playing there is the root note, A, which is the 1, and I'm playing the fifth note from the scale. So the name of that chord is A5. And if I just play those two together, it's a dyad, isn't it? There's only two notes. It's a chord and it's two notes. It's a 1 and a 5. So it's called A5. If I played the same shape there, it would be G5, F5. You know, if I was going up the neck, it would be A5, B5, C5, D5. It's a movable shape, and it's something that guitarists use all the time. And we call it a power chord. And often when we play that, we also add on the note underneath, which is the octave note of the A. So it's that, yeah, the 8th note, the octave note. It's the same note that we started off on, just 1 octave higher. And we call that a power chord, yeah? And it's used all the time in rock music, but in every genre. We like that as a guitarist because it's easy to play. It's a moody kind of sound. It's got lots of bass end in there. Super cool way to play your chords. It's really, really easy. So we move that around the neck all the time. If something is a power chord, it's also a fifth. Those two terms are interchangeable, yeah? A C power chord is technically, its proper name would be to call it a C5 chord. Call it C5 if you want, or you can call it a power chord. Tom's question is, if we reduce that to just the root and the fifth, do we have flat and sharp fives, and does that just make it a standard chord? Well, no, because that's what dictates whether something is augmented or diminished. So this is kind of a theory tip, isn't it, that we're sharing here. But how you make an augmented chord is you take a major chord, like let's play A. We could just as easily play it down here, A, if we wanted. And if we just sharpen the fifth, remember sharpen is like a posh way of saying move your finger up 1 fret. So if I play it here for you, and we just do this as simply as we possibly can. Let me zoom in a little on the camera here so you guys can see this. So here's my 1, yeah? Here's my 5. Now listen to how the sound changes. So that's an A5 chord. But if I sharpen the fifth, which remember is a posh way of saying move your finger up 1 fret. So I'm going to move the fifth up 1 higher. That's now an augmented chord, which makes it sound tense, doesn't it? If I go the other way and I start off with my 5, my A power chord, and I lower the fifth down, then that now makes it diminished, which is a really dark sounding and kind of tense chord, isn't it? Remember, all music can be reduced to the sense of tension and resolution, yeah? Tension and the notes resolving. All music can be reduced to that essentially. So super quick, let me show you this very, very quickly. If we go back over here onto the iPad, and let's get rid of my diagram that we were just looking at a moment ago. Yeah, so an augmented chord, which we often see written as like a plus sign. So like D, that would be an augmented chord, for example. So an augmented chord, the formula for that is 1 major third, and we would have a sharpened fifth. Yeah. And for a minor chord, which we can think of as, we'll call it diminished, be something like this. You have a 1, you have a flat 3, which is minor, and you have a flattened fifth. Yeah. So this here is simply a major chord with a sharpened fifth, and this is a minor chord with a flattened fifth. And that's the easiest way to think about it. That's the simplest way to think about it, is just a major chord where the fifth is 1 fret higher. That makes it an augmented chord. And a minor chord where the fifth note is 1 fret lower. That makes it a diminished chord. That's how we build those chords. I hope that helps, Tom. Hope you understand what's going on there, dude. And yeah, Bruce says, oh, the devil chord, heathen. Yeah, the diminished interval is sometimes referred to as, like, you know, the devil's chord, the number of the beast. Because it does sound kind of sinister, doesn't it? That diminished tonality. It does sound creepy. Yes, so Raymond, you're absolutely right. In a power chord, there is no minor or major, because it's the third that makes a chord major or minor, isn't it? That's how we separate. An A major chord and an A minor chord are identical, except that third note. It's 1 fret lower. As many of you will know, if you play, for example, if we play, let's make this super simple. If we play an A chord down here, that's our A chord. To make it minor, what do? We have to rearrange our fingers, but only one note changes. This note here goes 1 fret lower, doesn't it? We have to rearrange our fingers, but that's an A minor chord. But only one note changed. If we do it this way, that's an A chord, an A minor chord is there. Yeah, so all we've done is we just change one note, which is the third, completely changes the tonality of the chord and makes an enormous difference. Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Raymond. In the power chords, where we only play the 1 and the 5, there's no third. So it can't be major or minor. That's one of the things that makes power chords so cool, because they're more movable, they're more portable. So if you're rocking out and playing something, having a great time, there's less chance that things can go wrong. And also, if you're just following along to a bass player, you know, then it's super easy for you guys to just kind of get in sync, because he's not worried about what's major and minor. Certainly if he's playing any type of popular music or rock music, he's probably just playing one string, probably. If they're doing more jazzy and funky stuff, then okay, he might be all over the place. But in most rock music, certainly most rock bassists I've ever played with, they're pretty basic animals, you know? They just kind of bang out the root notes with a few embellishments here and there. So if you're playing guitar, whether it's lead guitar or rhythm guitar, it's super easy for you guys to get in sync. If you're playing fifths, yeah, fifths are awesome, man. I mean, in my days in the Mags, you know, which is the rock band that I was in throughout, you know, most of my 20s, I certainly didn't exclusively play in fifths, but I'd say maybe half of the time I was playing fifths. And the other great thing about when you play power chords is that if you're playing through a distorted tone, then it can handle that. You know, if you play a big open chord and you've like a G, or like an open G chord, and you've got some gain on your amp, then that chord just turns to mush. It's muddy, it's mushy, and you can't hear the notes. It just turns to rubbish. But with it, if you play fifths, you're only playing 2 notes, which means you can drive the amp more, which means it'll break up more, and you can basically play on higher gain settings, and they just sound ace. I mean, even now, after all these years, I love playing rock guitar. It's still my favorite thing. Rock and blues is still my favorite thing by a long way. It just sounds awesome to me. I love that sound. When the amp starts to break up, you know, it's like, and you're just in the zone, everything's flowing, you're completely focused on what you're doing. It just sounds awesome. Makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. You know, I love that sound, man. I love it so much. All right, so let's look at some of the comments here. Gary, any chance of getting a blind or visually impaired guitarist on the channel to talk about how they learn to play the guitar with the impairment? Gary, I would love to do that, mate. I would love to do that. You know, and also, like I've mentioned this on the members live streams, it's something I wish I could help with more. It isn't something, I've never taught anybody who's blind. I've taught loads of people over the years with so many different issues in their lives and their bodies, the mobility, the cognition, all kinds of stuff. But I've actually never taught anybody who's blind. So I'm sorry, mate. I really wish I personally had more tips for you for that. But yeah, we should totally do it. I mean, Gary, if there's anybody that you know of who, like, I don't even know where to begin with that, you know? I mean, if there's anyone you know of, like, there must be someone on YouTube, you know, who teaches blind people guitar. Let's find out who that person is, and let's interview them on the channel. You know, I'd love to do that. Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna just super quick. I'm gonna make a note of that, Gary, because I'll ask a member of my team to look into it this week. Let's find somebody who can help us with that, and we can interview them on the channel. Because every time we discuss it, Gary, I feel bad that I don't have any type of resource I can help with or direct you to, but we will look into that, mate, I promise. Johnny says, Mike, the payment button on joining the league course isn't functioning, PayPal or credit card. Yeah, Johnny, I don't know what's happened with it, mate, but we've had all kinds of issues. It's the same checkout that we always use, and it usually works fine. But this time around for Leadmaster, we've had issues with it. I don't know what it is. The page just seems to load really slowly. We've checked it out. We've done everything we can to fix it. The only thing that seems to work is to just wait a bit longer for the page to load. I know that's a really crappy solution, Johnny. I'm sorry about that, mate. But if you just kind of like refresh the page and just leave it for a minute, it does sort of figure it out in the end. I don't know. There's obviously a bug on the page. This is the problem, mate, because I'm not a developer and nobody else in the team is. Sometimes we have to just sort of use these off-the-shelf tools and they don't always work. Johnny, if you can't join for any reason before the deadline finishes, please just shoot us an email at support@nationalguitaracademy.com and we'll still find a way to let you in, you know, and that's the same for anybody else on the call. I just dropped our email address into the chat. You know, if you have any problems like that, please just email us, me or Chris or Adam. Somebody will help you out. Thank you for letting me know though, Johnny. I really appreciate that, mate. You know, most people just kind of struggle with it and don't actually let us know. So thank you very much for telling me that that's the issue. Cheryl, that was totally helpful. I had never thought of this happening there. Okay, so I guess that was, were you referring to the power chords there, Cheryl? I guess, but I'm pleased it was helpful. Hey, Mandy. Mandy's here from Bristol. I've been here from the start, but I've only just worked out how to chat. Yeah, we have that issue sometimes on Zoom because the chat button is like hidden and sometimes it's obscured on a phone, which is wild, but it's out of the way. So yeah, we get people joining the live streams who've like, I've been here for a year. I just didn't know how to speak. I'm pleased you're here, Mandy. Welcome. I love Bristol. Very cool city, very arty city. So much cool stuff happening in Bristol. I really dig Bristol. It's a cool city. Yeah, no worries. Don't worry if you're late. The whole beauty of these live streams on YouTube is you can watch them afterwards. So if you didn't make it for the start, no worries at all. I'm pleased that you're here now. Okay, let me get to some more of your questions. Also, there's a few other tips that I wanted to share with you today before we run out of time. Right, super quick. Wait there. I need to have a swig of my Guinness to wet my whistle. It's hot here in England today. Anybody will know who's in the UK. It's warm, especially for me under the studio lights. So I need hydration in the form of alcohol. My favorite type of hydration. Let's get back to these questions. Oh, here we go. I also got the Leadmaster. Not sure where to sign in as well, or not sure to. My name is David. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, David. When you sign up for Leadmaster, you get like if you're already an NJ student, you just use your same login details and it'll work fine. Leadmaster will pop up there on your dashboard. If you are not an NJ student, if this is the first course of ours that you've bought, then you will get like the platform we use automatically sends you your, you know, like login here, here's your password, that type of thing. But sometimes it can take about 15 to 20 minutes for that to come through. Usually it's straight away, but sometimes it can take a bit longer. But again, if that isn't the case, please just email us, support@nationalguitaracademy.com, and we'll, you know, we can manually send you your details, you know, immediately. Oh, there you go. Wayne also asked a question about Leadmaster. When will the new Leadmaster show up on accounts that have the old Leadmaster? It shows up immediately, Wayne, but very little has changed in the core content of Leadmaster. And generally what we do is we just update the old course. So if we're adding a new PDF or we're correcting an old PDF, or if something's altered in one of the lessons, we usually just drop it in so that people don't have like multiple versions, you know, in their course library. Yeah. Great, Monica, thank you. I turned my sister onto NGA. She just became a member. Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you very much for doing that, Monica. That's great. Gary says, it's so hot, I can't even play the guitar, bring on the rain. I complain all year about the weather in England, and then when it gets hot, we're just not set up for it, are we? We don't have aircon. You know, we don't have tiled floors or high ceilings, or like, we're just not set up for the heat. So when it kicks in England, it's just like everybody bakes. I took my daughter to play football this morning, and we were just stood there like in the heat. There's no shade anywhere. Like just basically all these pasty English people like me, like I'm like an albino, see, like my natural shade. And we're all just there on the field in the baking hot sun, absolutely sweating more than the kids. It's crazy. Lisa says, I just became a member, totally impressed with the resources available on the site. Love the walking through Chester beginner tips videos. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Lisa. I enjoyed filming them. It was nice to get out of the studio and just like take people on a bit of a tour of the city whilst, you know, talking about something that didn't require me to be here in the studio. I want to do that more and more, sort of get out in the world, you know, rather than just being here in the studio. So good, thank you. I'm pleased that you like that, Lisa. Thanks very much. All right, so let's get to, there was one other question that I wanted to answer from last week. Where is it now? Question 1. Okay, so we got this question from, I'm sorry, mate, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I don't know if it's Barrett or Barat. But anyway, Barat, I think it's probably Barat, I'm going to go with. So Barat's question was, please share proper seating position tips while practicing. My neck and shoulder feel pain sometimes. Thank you. So Barat, I'm really sorry, but this isn't something I can specifically help with because I'm not, you know, I don't know, an osteopath or anything like that. All I know is that in general, you just want your back to be straight and you want to be sitting comfortably and you want your thigh to be at about a 90-degree angle to your body. So if you're sat in a chair, well, just what I've seen with my own experience with my own students is that if you sit on a stool in the kitchen, then, you know, like your legs tend to slope down and people tend to sort of hunch over the guitar to try and keep the instrument secure. That sometimes leads to problems. Also, if you sit on a sofa or a couch, your bum goes right down into the couch, which means that your knees end up higher. So like, imagine that's your thigh and this is your body here, yeah? So if that's your body and this is your thigh, you want it to be at about a 90-degree angle. If you're on the kitchen stool, your thigh goes down like this. If you're on the sofa, they go up like this, and the guitar ends up sort of hunched into your midriff. So in my experience, both of those things don't work very well because it affects your technique, because your mobility is limited. Like, and people do this. They tuck their elbow right in at the body, which is terrible for guitar, remember? I'm sure you've heard me say like a million times, we play the guitar with our whole forearm. Look at the space I've got here. Look at this space. That's what I want. If I'm playing here, it's fine. My body isn't in the way. But the amount of people that you see that play at home that have the guitar in weird ways where they can't get their hand in and in around the instrument, it's really crazy. It makes a huge difference. So yeah, I can't offer any specific, you know, medical tips for that, Barat. But all I would say is just try and play with a straight back and have your thighs at a 90-degree angle. If anybody else has got any help for that, can anyone help Barat with that? Has anybody had any issues with their neck or the shoulder pain when playing the guitar? If they have, please let us know. Yeah, cool. So Cheryl, good idea. Cheryl said I use a classical footstool for my left leg as I'm right-handed, and I can sit and play like that for hours on end as long as I sit with a straight spine. Yeah, it's a great tip, Cheryl. You know, so one of the best things that you can do as a guitarist, depending on where you're comfortable at home, is to have some type of thing that raises up your foot. I've done that loads of times with students. You know, I've had all kinds of stuff. Books on the ground for them to put their feet on. You know, stools, yeah, you know, just anything, cats, dogs, kids. Get something there that you can put your foot on, and just raising it up that way makes the instrument more secure. Fergus says, can you play any song from Metallica? I think you mean Metallica. Fergus, I'm sorry, mate, I'm not a metal guy. This is Adam. This is where Adam comes in, man. We need Adam for this. He'd be shredding away by now. Yeah, sorry, Fergus. I mean, I know, like, I used to know Enter Sandman. I think that's like E minor. I think that might be a different Metallica song. Yeah, Metallica is not my jam, Fergus. I'm sorry, mate. Um, Bruce's tips: do not press too hard and don't tense your wrist. Yeah, I mean, just in general, Bruce, that's a great tip, isn't it? So regardless of neck pain or shoulder pain, just in general, you know, like you want to play the guitar with a light touch. Some people, their hands are like really crazy how they grip it, and you can actually develop, you know, carpal tunnel and, you know, various other repetitive strain injuries through doing that. Another great tip there from Sienna: play standing up. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's a really great suggestion. Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be interesting to know. I mean, Barat isn't on the call right now, but it'd be interesting to know. I think it's a man's name, Barat. I'm not sure if it is or not, but it'd be interesting to know how they currently play, wouldn't it? Like, what's causing that pain right now? You know, do they play sat down or they stood up? Lisa says, don't hunch your shoulders or let them move forward. That can lead to pain. Footstool works great, and classic position for bar chording helps to relieve hand tension. Yeah, great tips. Thank you, Lisa. Fergus says, oh no, dude, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not a metal guy. I wish I could do some like cool Metallica shredding for you. Metallica have never been my thing. I sort of respect what they do. I really do. I like the power of the music that they play, but it isn't melodic enough for me. You know, like I prefer, like, if I'm gonna go metal, I go a bit more sort of Iron Maiden than Metallica. That's just me. All right, a couple of other things I wanted to share with you. So number one, song recommendation of the week is the Rolling Stones new track, and hence me wearing the Rolling Stones t-shirt today. I'm a big Stones fan, of course I am. Exile on Main Street's one of my favourite albums of all time. The Rolling Stones brought out a new single this week. I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet. I'm not actually a big fan of the track, Angry it's called, but it is classically Stones-esque. Anybody who wants to have a go at it, it is just an A chord. Like this is, I mean, this is Keith Richards' whole career. He plays an A shape and then he hammers on here. So it's like, yeah, so here, so, and then he goes up to a D and does the same thing. Or if you prefer, you could play it here as a D. Yeah, I also like the fact that in the video, it's like this kind of cheesy 1980s-ish video that I don't know if anybody's seen it here. You know, with like, you know, like busty women and sports cars driving through LA, and like, I'm here for that, man. Yeah, I'm a simple man. You know, give me fancy cars and scantily clad women, rock and roll music. Like, you know, that's me. That I'm a simple man. What can I say? But I don't actually like the song that much. But the video is really cool. So yeah, my sort of recommendation for the week, number one, is check out the Stones' new single, Angry. It's fun. Chuck it on YouTube. Watch the video. It's a good time. And the other recommendation I had this week was, somebody please tell me on the chat here, someone who's into country music. I'm calling you Americans. Jimmy, I don't know if his name's pronounced Jimmy Buffett or Jimmy Buffet. I'm assuming it's Jimmy Buffett. As an American, he's not French, so I'm assuming it's Buffett. But we've had a post going on our members forum this week with people appreciating his music. He died recently, and you know, people have been basically talking about him and his music. I'd never even heard of the guy. Country music is not my thing at all. But based off him dying, Lisa said the first way you said that is correct, which I think was Buffett. Thank you, Lisa. Jimmy Buffett. Yeah, so I'd never even heard of him, but I've been enjoying listening to some of his songs this week. Some of it is a bit too twee and hokey for me, but some of it is really cool, and there's a real lovely warm energy to some of his songs, which I could really connect with and appreciate. And yes, some of his tracks, I've just fallen in love with some of his tracks this week. So yeah, if you haven't checked out Jimmy Buffett, go and check him out on Spotify. Maybe he passed you by the way he passed me by. I think he was a bigger deal in America because of his country background. I watched a couple of live performances with him, and he just seemed like such an interesting dude, a really nice guy with a good energy about him, and also multi-talented, successful businessman and a writer and a musician and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, yeah. So Monica said he was fabulous. Like Monica, I'd never even heard of the guy. I feel out of the loop, but I guess everybody has their own background, and for me, growing up in England, it was very, sort of rock, indie, British sort of stuff, and country music really didn't have a big role for me in my upbringing. So yeah, Jimmy Buffett completely passed me by, but I've been really enjoying discovering him this week. You know what he reminds me of? Not at all in his style, but just in the way I've discovered him, is Bob Seger. Of Seger. Again, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he's somebody that just was not in my life at all in the UK. All my band years, everything I ever did musically in England, Bob Seger, I never even heard of him once. And the only way I heard of him was Thin Lizzy did a cover of Rosalie, one of his tracks. They played a live version of it. I love the song. And Phil Lynott says at the start, this is a number by Bob Seger. And I was like, I've got to check this guy out, Bob Seger. What's the story with this guy? If Thin Lizzy dug Bob Seger, then I probably will too. So I searched him out and just absolutely fell in love with Bob Seger. And it was just this great discovery. And then I mentioned it to some of our students, and they were like, duh, yeah, Bob Seger's great, and I felt like a complete idiot. But yeah, it was fun to catch up on something, even though I was super, super late to the party. Yeah, Lisa, that kind of sums up my experience. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of all of his music, but dude, how can you not like Margaritaville? What a track that is. So much fun. Yeah, Cheryl, Margaritaville. That was the one somebody posted in our forum, and he was playing it on stage and just looked like he was having a great time, which I enjoyed. Yeah, Cheryl, I did not know that he was a coke guy, but he certainly wouldn't be the first musician to go down that trap. Wow, Wayne said he grossed more than $1 billion US. Damn, not bad for somebody who was high on cocaine and drinking margaritas all day. Yeah, pretty impressive. Cheryl says Bob Seger. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, Bob Seger. For real country, listen to Hank Williams. Yeah, Bruce. Hank Williams was very popular with my aunties. They were all way, way older than me on my dad's side. And they really got into American country music during World War II. All the American GIs came over. Lots of them were based here in Liverpool. Liverpool was heavily bombed in the war. There was a massive American Air Force base just outside Liverpool. My auntie married an American. She moved to Georgia and she lived her whole life there. She died just a couple of years ago. So there's a whole branch of the Kennedy family over in the southern states in the US. And yeah, they all really got into Hank Williams. And that was often played at family, get-togethers and so on. Hank Williams would be on the background. Yeah, Seger, thank you very much. Yeah, I enjoyed listening to Bob Seger. Yeah, Lisa said he stopped touring to raise his kids. Got to respect that. Absolutely, Lisa. Yeah, that's basically what's happened with me. Exactly. I'm actually thinking about going on the road again soon, which is super exciting. I'll keep you all posted. There's things in the mix. In fact, I'll just tell you guys now. I'll give you the heads up on it. So the band that I was in for years was called the Mags. I was in another band prior to that with a very similar lineup, but the rock band that I played in for most of my 20s was called the Mags. Absolutely loved it. It's the most creatively fulfilling time in my life by a long way. I loved it to bits. But I haven't, been a performing artist for like over 10 years. The only performances that I do is like it's at home. It's me and my kids. Play with my kids all the time. We write songs together, we play the piano together, it's a very musical household. I love it a bit. But all of the Mags material has recently been remastered painstakingly with the guy who sound engineered for us originally, who's since gone on to win a Grammy Award for sound engineering. It's recently been remastered by the guy who it's recently been mastered by the guy who mastered the first couple of White Stripes albums, which is very close to the vibe of the Mags, bluesy, rock guitar, that type of thing. And we're going to be releasing the material soon. So we're going to release a couple of singles and then we'll release the album in a few months, and then we might be doing some shows again. We'll see where that goes. I'll keep you all posted. We're thinking about doing some like sort of documentary style stuff as well about how this material has come back to life, and stuff like that. So yeah, big and interesting things coming soon. But it's certainly, if I go touring, I will be taking my kids with me, Lisa. That's the plan. I mentioned it to my wife last night. She didn't seem thrilled initially, but she seemed to come round to the idea after, I don't know, 20 minutes of me trying to talk her into it. It'd be great, it'd be a great experience for the kids. We can all go on the road together. So watch the space. There's much more information coming about that soon. Right, listen, a few other tips that I want to share with you guys before we run out of time. Number one, we did this on the members live stream last week. A piece of gear that I want to share with you this week is fret erasers. Okay, now what is a fret eraser? Right, it looks like this. I can get the camera to focus. Come on, you can do it. Right, there's 3 different fret erasers in there of different grits. So each one is basically, it looks a little bit like an eraser that you'd use to rub out pencil, but you use it on the frets of your guitar. So if you have any strings that sort of catch when you bend them, it doesn't feel very nice. If they bend up, you can get some scratchy sounds, and just in general to keep your frets clean and polished, smooth and easy when you're playing. Fret erasers are awesome. You just rub them on the fret. So when I say on the fret, I mean on the fret wire. All right. So we do not use fret erasers here because it will damage the wood, but we do use fret erasers on the fret wire. Yeah, the metal wire that's there. It will make your guitar play better. It will make everything smoother, and it basically just makes your instrument more playable, and it feels more polished. Everything happens in a smoother way. You get them in different grits, so depending on how much you need, you can use a stronger grit. It's basically a way of like sanding down the metal on the guitar very, very gently. Just make sure that when you do this, that you put some masking tape on the wood of the guitar, so you don't accidentally sand the wood of the guitar, which would be disastrous. Yeah, but the next time that you restring your guitar, your strings come off, and then during that time you can put some tape to protect the wood. Use the fret eraser to just bring your frets back to a really high quality. It makes it super easy to play. And then also, if you're interested in really improving the playability of your guitars, especially if you've got like a guitar that you've inherited, or one that from somewhere that might not be the best guitar in the world, is you can use a fret crowning file. So check this out. If I go this way, you can see it better. Let's see if we can get the camera. Can you see that? So this is it's a file, but the indentation on the side of the file there is the perfect thickness for a guitar fret. Now you don't use this to file like this on the whole fret wire. Yeah, we don't do that. We just do the top, and you do it in like a rounded fashion. You don't need to do it very much, and again you need to make sure that you've got some tape to protect the wood of the guitar. But what it does is it makes the guitar much more interesting to play. It's smoother, you can fly along the neck better, and you don't have little bits of fret wire catching your fingers, which I think feels terrible and is actually the hallmark of a poor quality guitar. If you put a guitar in my hand, I can tell straight away how much it costs by just feeling the frets on the top. If they're rough, you know it's a cheap guitar. Yes, so and the last tip that I wanted to have for you guys today was that when you're playing your G chords, again, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but a couple of people had said they really love trying this. When you're playing your G chords, try just relaxing this finger so as that you don't press the string down. Just relax it so as that you just deaden the note. And it creates an earthy sound. Changes the tone of the G chord. And you can do the same for your C added 9. Yeah, so instead of fretting this note here, just relax your finger so you deaden the note. Sounds nasty by itself, but when you play it in amongst the chord, to me what it does is it makes your G and your C chords more kind of rootsy and earthy. They sound a little bit more rough around the edges, and depending on the track, it just works really nicely. Any kind of folk, or ballads, anything acoustic based, I think it works really well. You can absolutely do it on an electric guitar too, but to me it sounds particularly cool on acoustic guitars. Play around with that. Just lightly deadening some of the strings, some of the notes and the chords that you play. All right, everybody, we have got a couple of things that we want to hit on before we wrap up. Yeah, so Cheryl said that's how the Kennedys got to the US. Yeah, that was the Kennedy exodus at the end of World War II. Absolutely. All right, cool. What else have we got here? Yeah, Cheryl said never heard of the fret eraser. Yeah, it's super cool, Cheryl. I don't think you would hear of it unless you sort of moved into more like, not necessarily becoming a luthier, but into guitar maintenance. And basically I had the guitar which I bought when I was in Malta last year, and I loved the guitar except the frets at the top. They were just horrible. I hated playing the guitar because I could feel that it didn't feel fluid when I was playing. I felt like the guitar was resisting me, and when I was like, what's happening here, it was just because the frets were sitting slightly proud and they were rough on the top. But when I crown those frets, it feels great. It feels like a guitar. I'm not kidding. It feels like a guitar that's like $1,000 more, or at least like $500 more. It feels like you've gone from like a Squier Strat to like an American Pro. That's the difference it makes. Just for doing a little bit of filing on the frets, really made a huge difference for me. Yeah, cool. Andrew said I do all my own fretwork. Yeah, awesome. I think, as long as you're careful, and I always recommend people begin on a guitar that they don't care about that much in case it goes wrong. Like if you've got a pride and joy guitar or something that really means a lot to you, don't experiment on that, please. But, if you've got another guitar that, isn't special to you, and if it all goes really wrong, you don't care. I think that's the best place to begin with experimenting with things like luthiery, changing, making adjustments to your truss rod, crowning the frets, things like that. I think it makes a huge difference. You've got a guitar that's got nice frets on it, it's a great guitar to play and you'll have a fun time. You have a guitar that has nasty frets on it, it's going to be pretty miserable. It won't feel nice. Yeah, Stu Mac has fret erasers, like 10 different grits. Yeah, I mean, Stu Mac have got everything. I absolutely love those guys. I've bought loads of stuff from them over the years. In the last couple of years, as I've got more interested in luthiery and maintaining my guitars, I love Stu Mac. And also, I just adore the old guy on their YouTube channel. I don't know his name. I wish I did. I'll have to try and look him up. I love that guy. And he stands there with his woodworking apron on each day, and just like shares these like absolute knowledge bombs. I love that guy. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so listen, everybody, we are out of time, but I just want to finish by asking you, please, if you've enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the live stream, please like it, please subscribe to the channel. I've got to get better at like doing this YouTube stuff, of like asking people to like and subscribe. I generally forget or don't mention it early enough. If you enjoyed this, you want more stuff like this, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. We want to grow our YouTube channel, and also we want new people to find the channel. And the way that you get discovered on YouTube is through likes. It's like it shows up for more people in the recommended videos and so on. So please like the video if you enjoyed it, if you got some value from it. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more of this stuff. And also, lastly, just to repeat what I mentioned earlier on, which is that you can join join our lead master course right now. It is still open if you're interested in lead guitar, if you want to get better at lead guitar. Like I mentioned earlier, it's so much fun. I think the most fun that you can have with your guitar, it is playing lead. Just because I've mentioned this before, but like the highs of the lead guitar world are higher than any other part of the guitar world. It's really, really good fun. And you just can't beat playing a chord and then doing some lead or playing a solo. To me, that is the most fun you can have with the guitar. So if you're interested in our lead master course, I'll just drop the link there into the chat. I think that we will be closing registration for that course tonight, and then that won't be open until the same time next year. Everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for your questions. It's a pleasure to see everybody. It's great to have your interaction. Thank you for your questions, everybody. Thanks for getting involved. And I hope you all have a fabulous day. And I will see you all again next week, hopefully with Adam as well. Thank you very much, everybody. and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.